You ever wake up and feel like the universe has singled you out just to see how much you can take? Yeah, that was me the morning I stepped outside with a cup of coffee expecting peace, maybe a little mist rising off the lake, only to find the place I called home, my wife's old lake cabin, was nothing but a pile of busted boards and twisted metal. No warning, no knock on the door, just the bitter smell of fresh-cut pine, and my whole world turned into a funeral pyre. And let me tell you, the first thing I saw was her Carla Pennington standing by the wreckage in her pressed floral blouse, gripping her clipboard like it was a royal scepter. She handed me a notice and smirked. This is what happens when you ignore us. You know what I mean. Some people don't want respect, they want obedience, and if you won't give it, they'll take everything you love. Now let me back up a sec, because this wasn't some HOA drama where I just forgot to mow the grass. I'd never joined her precious Lakeside Meadows HOA. Never signed a thing, never paid a dime, never wanted any part of their games. My wife, Mary, she passed a few years back, and that cabin was the last piece I had left. Her old rocking chair still on the porch, the beam we'd carved our initials into, standing up in the wreckage like a tombstone. After she was gone, that place was the only spot the silence didn't hurt so much. I'd taught my grandson Leo to fish off that dock. Now it was all gone flattened because I owed dues to an association I never belonged to. I stood there in shock while her contractor wiped his hands and looked anywhere but at me. Carla's voice was syrupy, fake, sympathetic, non-payment of dues. Walt, this is what happens. And she walked off like she'd just done the world a favor. I stared at the paper in my hand. Words swimming in my throat felt like it was packed with concrete. All those memories. Mary, Leo, the peace I found there gone in the space of one cold morning. I stumbled inside hands, shaking so bad I could barely punch in numbers on my phone. I called the county records office, desperate for anyone to tell me this was all a mistake. The clerk put me on hold, and I could hear her keyboard tapping, tick, 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 echoing in that empty house. When she came back, her voice was clear. No, sir, your property has no HOA covenants attached. Never has. For a second, I thought maybe I could fix this. Show Carla the records, make her undo it, make sense out of madness. Except right then, Carla pulled back in, as smug as you please. Didn't even come to the door, just yelled out her window. We included your property in our master plan. You didn't contest in 30 days, so you're in. That's your problem now. She was counting on me being just some old man, too slow, too confused to fight. But let me tell you something, inside me snapped. It wasn't just about the cabin. It was about the way she looked at me like I was nothing but an obstacle to bulldoze. It was the last straw. My trust in people and neighbors just dissolved. That night I sat in the dark thinking of Mary, what she'd say. Don't let them push you, Walt. You're smarter than they are. At 2 a.m. I went out to my old shed, found the battered metal footlocker buried behind tools and boxes. Inside were original deeds plat maps from the 50s, a military topo survey I'd done years back. As I spread those maps on my workbench, tracing the old blue lines, I realized Carla thought she was queen of this place, had no idea she was just squatting on my history. If it's war she wants, I whispered, it's war she'll get. So I started walking neighbor to neighbor, not as a victim, but as an investigator. When did you join the HOA? First up, Sarah Young. Mom scared out of her wits. She'd paid a $200 fine for her kid's tricycle on the lawn. Next bill, a retired mechanic. Carla's HOA had slapped a lien on his house for a fishing boat too long for the driveway, bleeding him dry with legal fees. Story was the same up and down the street, confused, scared people all bullied into signing paperwork. No one really read, all afraid of Carla's phantom government. She'd built her empire on fear and fine print, slipping documents in with tax notices, counting on everyone's inattention. I knew I needed more than anger. I needed precision. So I called my old Navy buddy Ray Doc Alvarez, a lawyer who could take apart a 500-page contract for fun. I laid it all out on his kitchen table, deeds, fake liens, the whole mess. He listened, nodded, then gave me a slow grin. Walt, this isn't a lawsuit. This is pest control. 2 days later, his cease and desist landed on Carla's porch, said in no uncertain terms she had zero authority over my property and the demolition was criminal. For a moment, it was quiet until Carla retaliated with orange violation signs, anonymous complaints, even cutting my power by sending her wannabe cop Steve to mess with my junction box. The harassment was endless. The last straw was finding Mary's ashes, her memorial box smashed and empty, mixed in with the debris. They hadn't just destroyed my cabin, they'd dumped the last piece of her into the trash. That's when I swore I'd tear down everything Carla built brick by brick. I lived at the county records office for a week, digging through dusty plat books, microfiche reels, tracing every deed since 1950. That's when I founded the Golden Ticket. Decades ago, the whole neighborhood had been a private land trust. When the trust dissolved, ownership of the common areas would revert to a backup entity. And guess who that entity turned out to be? My little LLC Northridge Holdings that I'd forgotten I even owned was the legal owner of every inch of common land roads, green belts, even Carla's precious entrances. She'd built her kingdom on county overlays, never checked the old paperwork. Meanwhile, Carla doubled down, towing cars, mailing threats, posting signs on her land. When she sent me a bill for $87,000, including the cost to demolish my own cabin, I knew it was time to flip the grid. I filed all my paperwork, updated the deeds, and sent out invitations to every house for a community info session at the library. I didn't sign my name, just said a group of concerned residents was meeting. Carla, of course, tried to hijack it, announced her own mandatory HOA meeting at the same place, thinking she'd ambush me. That night, the library was packed. Carla sat at the front with her enforcer, Steve, radiating confidence, clipboard in hand. I waited with Doc and my friend Frank, the former county planner. When Carla called the meeting to order, accusing me of owing $87,000, I stepped forward. "This isn't your meeting, Carla." I turned to the crowd, introduced myself, then let Frank unroll the original plat map. He said, calm and clear, "This HOA doesn't legally exist." Carla sputtered. Doc backed him up with the law, and then I hit them with the deed. Showed them I owned the land, all of it. The room went silent, then exploded with questions. Carla turned red and started ranting about private property and rules. I revoked her easements on the spot. The next morning, I put up chain-link fencing at the entrance, had my old Navy buddies disconnect her ornamental lights, her sprinklers, even the power to her security shack, legally, cleanly, with the right permits. When the cops came, I showed them the deeds. The deputy turned to Carla and said, "Ma'am, you're the one trespassing now." I sent letters to every neighbor, told them Carla's HOA was never legitimate and they owed her nothing. Bill called me practically shouting for joy. Sarah's voice shook with relief. The whole street came alive. Carla tried one last time an emergency HOA meeting, plastering notices everywhere. But this time a neighbor's daughter, Tina, a firebrand TikTok reporter, came to document it all. I played a recording from Carla's own ex-treasurer admitting the fraud. Showed drone footage of the illegal demolition. Even the county inspector stood up and confirmed the crime. That's when Carla lost it, full meltdown, screaming about traitors and terrorists, sweeping her precious gavel onto the floor. The deputies were waiting. They cuffed her and let her out as the whole room applauded. Tina's video of the breakdown went viral, 100,000 views before lunch. By week's end, the district attorney filed felony charges. I sued for damages. Carla and her husband left town in disgrace. The day the settlement check cleared, I didn't celebrate. I picked up lumber, started rebuilding. But this time I wasn't alone. Bill showed up with his tools. Sarah's husband volunteered to frame neighbors. I'd only waved at came to help. We built a new cabin, stronger, with a memorial bench by the water for Mary. I dissolved the LLC, put all the roads and lands into a permanent community trust, ironclad, no HOA could ever rise again. The first meeting of our new voluntary council was held in my rebuilt cabin. No dues, no threats, just neighbors. That weekend I took Leo fishing. We sat on the new dock, his rod twitching, sun glinting off the water. When he reeled in a sunfish bigger than any before, he beamed, and for the first time I felt whole again. They tried to take everything, but we built it back stronger. Justice sometimes is just a deed, a line in the sand, and the guts to stand by it. So let me ask you, where do you draw your line? What's real justice to you? Drop a comment. Tell me your story, because sometimes fighting back isn't just about land, it's about who we are and who we refuse to let walk over us.